So this is chapter 2 of our 3-part series. In the first part, we talked about the why of why they're removing add-ons, and now we're going to talk about the what. The what is going to be based off the foundation of what's changing is add-ons will no longer be the thing that gives you a competitive advantage. I'm going to argue a little bit differently, but it kind of bleeds into the why, which was, why is it happening now? Well, it's because add-ons were a requirement, and those now, what is giving a competitive advantage? Well, my argument was, well, no one required it. It was the path of least resistance, 1, and 2, it was the easiest way to navigate the gaps in game design. And so to me, that's a bit of a flawed understanding, but let's talk a little bit more about it in this video, and then we can give a nice little wrap up and conclusion at the end of this. Such add-ons move beyond the realm of personal preference, offering an objective advantage in moment-to-moment combat. As a result, players would be told to download specific add-ons to improve their class performance, or told to defeat a specific encounter. Guilds or even pickup groups commonly require the use of specific add-ons for mid-combat coordination. While we have never designed for add-ons in the sense of making a specific encounter or class mechanic with the intent that players would write add-ons to solve a given puzzle, we have inevitably had the design around them for several expansions. We've had to accept that even in non-cutting edge content, a majority of players will turn to any available tools to make things easier. I would say this misses the point, kinda. I would say at most people require maybe like Raider IO. Maybe. So they can kind of see like yours. I don't know. I would say some people, even before add-ons were as pervasive, would ask for your achievements. Before achievements, they would ask that you have a certain item. And then before that, maybe attunements as requirements. There was always requirements, I guess. So I think that kind of misses the point. And we're looking to level the playing field. The guiding philosophy in our approach is straightforward. Add-ons should no longer offer a competitive advantage in WoW combat. They should remain as robust tools for aesthetic customization and personalized presentation of information, but they should not be able to make a player more likely to succeed in combat against an encounter or another player. Tell me how that is done without add-ons. The first thing that comes to mind with me is your spec, how you do your build. There's almost little to no creativity to the point where you have more than one viable build for a scenario. There isn't in-depth customization like that. Most, like Wowhead, Icy Veins, have already discerned what the best spec is right now for Midnight. And I know because I could pull it up.
So my explanation for this gets a little bit messy, but essentially what I'm trying to say is that the builds have already kind of been decided for Midnight. It seems that for Warrior specifically, Mortal Strike is used for either cleaves or in another case for executes, depending on whether you're doing Mythic Plus or raids. And so in that, you kind of have a single target build, a multi-target build, and you go, well, there's a lot of customization. Even in their build sets, though, they list things like, there's a lot of room for customization in this build. It already takes virtually every damage and defensive talent in the class tree. So what in there can we actually take? Well, it seems like situational abilities, whether that's, are you facing shields? Are you trying to have more, I guess, relaxed versions of I can respond quicker because I have quicker footwork, or more time to respond to those things, or more healing because I maybe want to rely less on a healer in certain situations, or intervene, which seems like a weird evasion tanking type of thing. Like, how would you know that somebody else is taking damage to intercept that? Maybe through their details add-on, but doesn't really make a lot of sense. And then the alternative, which is Mythic Plus build, which says it has less room for those, I guess, adaptability. But notably, both of those are on the Warrior side and not the Arm side. It seems that the Arm side has already decided what it's for. Slayer, Colossus have already been decided what it's for, and not of any of the other interesting talents, just kind of the main 1 or 2 talents. That's all.
seen discussion around the word competitive with leaderboards and wondering why a design shift about competitive advantage should apply to them. But the consequence of add-ons impact creeped into all the facts of the game as uneven playing field is experienced by all players, whether someone is trying to defeat Mencius on normal difficulty with their friends in a family guild, trying to get a foothold in Mythic Plus, or trying to be the best of the best. Okay. The point he's trying to get across here, for those of you who maybe don't understand, is that what he's saying, because of that, trying to create leaderboards, is that how are we to create leaderboards that go, this is the number one player, that someone is truly the number one player, when we can't even determine whether or not that person won because their entire group was using add-ons, or somebody, like a good portion of it, or even one person. So how do you determine that when it's not truly there, right? Just like in other games, like say like a gacha game, how do you know that someone's truly the number one player? It's likely that they just spent the most money. Like that's just the easiest way of describing it. And I will combat that with saying my most controversial opinion: Blizzard needs to stop trying to make the game about being a competitive esport. It is the worst plan, idea, direction that WoW could go ever. I know this is going to divide people. I know people don't like it when I say this kind of thing because they want to say that their Mythic Plus thing is the most important to them. I watched MDI or I watched Race to World first. It's such a great event. I'm gonna even say the Race to World first event isn't about. It's not about who's first, in my opinion. It's crazy. It truly is, or should be, I should say. Not is. It's not is. The appeal should be that people are experiencing content at a level that you may not see, and they're doing so with so much skill that it's cool to see how they're able to overcome those challenges. And so I think we've gone this direction of we need to beat things that a leaderboard completely strangulates the idea of WoW being anything else. And you say, like, well, no one's saying you have to do this. No one's saying you gotta do this. When a majority of the game is based around it, though, and a majority of people nowadays are playing solo or in pugs, you can't say that it doesn't have an influence on those players, or that those players can exist in a microcosm of the game that isn't going to interact with that other part of the community. And so we need to stop this idea that WoW is this competitive esport that everyone needs to get ranked in, and 3K IO is the benchmark, and mythic rating is the minimum. I guess maybe heroic rating, but everyone says mythic, so. But my point is, this whole thing about they should remain as robust tools for aesthetic customization and personalized presentation. Okay, ready? They should not be able to make a player more likely to succeed in combat against an encounter or another player. A way that we know it's going to give people an advantage is if you're using cooldown manager, the max recommended way, that's using effectively an add-on. We just call it like an accessibility thing. And somebody who has theirs optimally set up, according to the top meta way, is going to have an advantage over someone else. So I mean, and then the other thing is, with the single button rotation, you very much can use single button rotation or ability highlighter in the same way that you use any rotational one. You just got to use it a little bit differently to achieve the same end, and you have an advantage there. So, okay. Add-on disarmament. What's changing? In pursuing these philosophical goals, we have tried to take a surgical approach that limits add-ons' ability to process information with the least possible impact on their ability to display it. Our engineering team has been regularly sharing updates to the API, short for Application Programming Interface. That didn't explain it to me. Essentially, the functions that add-on authors can use to access and manipulate WoW UI data with add-on authors, but a simplified explanation of what we're changing is as follows. Information about the current combat state is designed as a secret value that can be displayed by add-ons but not known by them. In essence, combat events are in black box. Add-ons are in a black box. Add-ons can change the size of the shape of the box, and they can paint it a different color. What they can't do is look inside the box. So at midnight, add-ons can still change the location of your buffs or debuffs and the size and shape of the associated frames. They can change the size and shape and texture of enemy nameplates and cast bars and many similar UI elements, but they can't know with certainty. They can't know with a certainty whether you can have a target or specific
No problem,
debuff.
ma'am. I like what you are doing.
Appreciate it. Or what the cooldown of a given ability is. Okay, cooldown of what a given ability is. I get that last part. The cooldown of a given ability and knowing in advance, the whole future thing. To me, my concern is add-on developers who aren't necessarily fully invested, or like the only thing they make is combat add-ons, are leaving and have made announcements that they are leaving. So my fear is if there's something that they know, if they're looking at it and they're going, I'm out, I'm bouncing, then something is amiss here. And from what the add-on authors are saying is it's not good. And from what they're saying,
Goodbye, Addons.
yeah. So with the add-ons leaving, I think there's a lot of add-on authors who have looked at it and what Blizzard is doing, and they go, this is a mess. And the way we had it set it up was either better, more uniform, or they're at a stage with their add-on development, building it into Blizzard, like into their UI, that they're just stages behind. Now, this whole like working with add-on authors, I feel like the community base is perceiving this to be one thing when I think it's another.
Was forced to download DBM and Wakora. Glad to see them forced to leave it. Blizz has their own.
Yes. So I think that you're right. I think that having DBM and Weakoras ultimately gone is good, at least on the front end, so we could have more time where things aren't fully solved.
Addons are indications of poor game design or poor communication with the player.
Nailed it. Because a lot of people will see that and
Agreed.
they'll go that because it's not solvable, it just means that players are bad. Yes, there are bad players. I'm not gonna say that they don't exist, but at the same time, they exist for a reason. So let's be honest. And so if we're taking away the add-ons, let's have a nice period of time where things go unsolved. That way, Blizzard has the time to go, hey, this is truly unfair and needs to be hotfixed. Or they go, hey, this was not the intent of our release.
Someone said game skill gonna drop. I said good. Goes to show who was to rely, lol.
Exactly. And I think that that player won't quit because they're worse at the game. That player will quit because I want to say that player will quit because everyone isn't competing, or everyone isn't more
I
standardized.
think it is a good idea too.
I feel like what add-ons did is it standardized the level of gameplay. It created a level of expectation. I think this part is actually a good thing, where players went and at least where the level playing field came was if everyone had the same add-ons, because at a certain point we all had to have them. At least at a certain point, we were all able to, I guess, understand the same things about each other. The problem is, once we got to that point, people just bullied each other until it was miserable. I'm not talking about the way add-ons are now.
I should not have to have 15 add-ons to run one Mythic Plus.
No, absolutely not. And believe it or not, I would say the War Within, at least towards like Season 2, Season 3, it definitely got to a point where you could play it without add-ons. I just think it was for more seasoned players. I don't think everyone could do that. I think more seasoned players could.
So there's the what, and honestly, there's not a lot of fear in there. It's just a lot of, I hope they get to the point that we are all hoping for sooner rather than later. Do I feel like it's going to happen on release of Midnight? No. Do I feel like they don't have it figured out? Well, they kind of already have the foundation and they're looking at it. So hopefully they're able to get there. But in this third one, we're going to be talking about, well, with what's all being removed, add-on authors leaving and stopping, what can we expect and what can we hope for next? And that's where I'm going to insert a lot of my own thoughts of what should come with this being the case. Like now it's the new normal. What should happen? Hope you enjoyed the next video. Peace.